this is one of the things that US travelers stress about the most once they're in Italy. And as a matter of fact, they start stressing out about it way before they even arrive here. One thing I observed after living in Rome for over a decade and running a travel agency that creates bespoke trips to Italy every single day is that people arrive in Rome thinking that they have everything perfectly organized and then quickly realize the city is far more overwhelming and complicated than they expected. Because Rome is one of those places that looks very different online than it feels in real life. What seems easy on paper suddenly becomes exhausting. What looks close together suddenly takes an entire day. And sometimes the things that travelers are the most excited about end up becoming the most stressful part of the entire trip, simply because Rome was not structured properly. After releasing my last episode on Rome, so many people reached out to me, sharing their own experiences, frustrations, and things they wish they knew prior to arriving here. So, after receiving this kind of feedback, I realized the importance of continuing to share with you major mistakes that I see travelers make year after year in Rome. So, in this episode, I want to walk you through some of the major ones. Definitely not to discourage you from visiting Rome, because it's truly one of the most incredible, one-of-a-kind cities in the world. But because Rome becomes infinitely more magical once you understand how to experience it properly. Now, the first mistake I'm going to share with you is probably one of the fastest ways to ruin the energy of your entire Rome stay. Just imagine people are landing in Rome Fiumicino Airport, excited, full of adrenaline, ready to maximize every single second. So they schedule tours, museums, restaurants, activities, and long walks immediately after arriving. One of the trips we recently organized was for a couple who was traveling to Italy. And prior to their arrival to Rome, they reached out to us asking to make a lunch reservation for them once they arrive. Now, the night prior to the arrival to Rome, they reached out to us again, saying that, of course, classic, their flight from the US had been delayed and they asked to move their lunch reservations to later time. We did. Now, once they landed in Rome, they reached out to us once again, saying that they're absolutely exhausted and, of course, asked to cancel their lunch reservations, saying that they want to just grab something light and take a nap because later in the afternoon they had a vintage car tour. I shared this story to bring you to the main point. Your first day in Rome or your first day in Italy should feel light. That is the key word. As tempting as it is, please make sure to not pack your first day in Italy with too many things. A vintage car tour or a golf cart tour, followed by a beautiful dinner, is the perfect way to spend your first day in the Eternal City. It is light, enjoyable, and allows your body and mind to slowly settle into the rhythm of Rome instead of immediately exhausting yourself. Now, the next point humbles, that is the word, humbles tourists and locals alike, because it is everyone's pain point. There is no way to avoid it. The only difference is that locals already expect it, while travelers find out usually the hard way when they're literally trying to get somewhere important. So just imagine you have a Vatican tour in the morning and you look on Google Maps and it shows that it will take you 15 minutes to get there. So you live about 20-25 minutes in advance and you are sure that you will have plenty of time. And then Rome happens. Constructions around Piazza Venezia, blocked streets, motorcycles everywhere, crowds near the Vatican. Or worse, no available taxis at all, because everyone is trying to be somewhere at the same time. In Rome, always leave earlier than you think you need to, especially if you have time tours or activities, because this city almost always takes longer to navigate in real life than it looks online. Now, the next mistake I'm going to share with you is unfortunately something that most travelers realize only once they're in the middle of it, panicking. Every single year, I see travelers assume they'll be able to quickly grab a taxi to the airport in Rome, and then suddenly realize just a few hours before their international flight, just imagine the stress level, that there are no taxis available. Rome is honestly one of the only cities where I constantly and consistently see issues with taxis. I cannot tell you how many times I pass by early in the morning Piazza del Popolo or Piazza d'Espagna and saw travelers standing at the taxi stands with their luggage, visibly stressed out because there were no taxis. Now, I know what you're thinking at this point. Okay, in order for me to avoid this kind of stress, I'm going to stay at a hotel near the airport. I know you're thinking that because so many travelers reach out to me asking if it's a good idea, and also so many clients of my travel agency, when we start working with them, initially they say, and Anastasia, for the last night, we probably should stay near the airport, right? And in my opinion, this is not the best solution, because that last day is still your vacation, the vacation that you were so looking forward to, that you've been planning, organizing, been excited about. And now you're spending that last day near the airport in a hotel with the most mediocre final lunch and dinner, or even just dinner. There is nothing to see, nothing really to do but to watch TV. That last day in Italy should still feel like a full-on vacation. You should enjoy every single moment you have left in Italy. You should be able to walk the cobblestone streets, maybe do last-minute souvenir shopping, grab delicious authentic gelato, and then have a proper final authentic meal in Italy. So what I recommend for your departure day is to organize a private transfer or have your travel agency organize one for you. It's the absolute best, comfortable, and convenient way to get to the airport. This way, you can still enjoy your entire day and evening in Italy to the fullest, and then conveniently get to the airport with plenty of time to check in and navigate through the airport. Trust me, this is the absolute best grand finale to your Italian vacation. Now, knock on the wood. Where is the wood here? Where we have wooden floors. I'm knocking on wooden floors because to this day, none of the clients of my travel agency missed their international flights or domestic ones. They all arrived to the airport with plenty of time to check in, navigate through, and sometimes even send us a sad selfie expressing how much they regret that their Italian vacation or French vacation or Greek vacation is coming to an end. So please do yourself a favor. No hotel airports. Give yourself as a gift that last day in Italy. Now, the next mistake has to do with choosing the wrong days of the week to visit Rome. Majority of the travelers build their Rome itineraries around the Colosseum, the Vatican museums, of course, but they don't realize that some of the most fascinating experiences in the Eternal City are not open every single day. For example, places like the Domo Soria Emperor Nero's golden palace that was hidden beneath Rome for centuries, or Palazzo Colonna, which lets you step inside one of the most breathtaking aristocratic palaces in Italy, with galleries so extravagant they're often compared to Versailles. These are the kinds of places that are only open on certain days and during specific hours throughout the week. And if experiences like this matter to you, then don't build your Rome itinerary first and then check the availability later. Build your Rome itinerary from the beginning around those experiences. Because trust me, you will be talking about those specific experiences way after your trip is over. Because they're truly some of the most incredible sights that we have in Rome. And I honestly cannot believe that still so many travelers don't know about their existence. Places like Doria Pamphili and some of the most incredible Etruscan museums and Palazzo Colonna, Domo Soria, and the list just goes on and on. I have the entire series on my YouTube channel dedicated to hidden gems of Rome. And actually, for those places, for the majority of them, you don't need to buy tickets in advance. Most of the time, you can just show up and get the tickets because, again, they're still hidden gems of Rome. All right, now this next mistake usually genuinely surprises majority of the people. And it has to do with the tickets to the Borghese Gallery, which unfortunately is no longer a hidden gem of Rome. But still, so many people assume year after year that they can buy tickets to the Borghese Gallery just a few days in advance, or even just show up to the Borghese Gallery and purchase tickets there. And unfortunately, it is no longer the case. Because once they try to purchase tickets, be it online or in person at the site, they realize that there are absolutely no more tickets left. In my previous podcast episode, Most People Plan Rome Completely Wrong, I shared an email from a traveler who tried booking Borghese Gallery tickets last minute through a third-party website. And unfortunately, the situation became extremely stressful for her right before the trip. So if visiting the Borghese Gallery is important to you, and in my opinion, it is truly one of the most fascinating and breathtaking galleries in entire Italy, then please keep in mind that the tickets for the Borghese Gallery usually become available about 1.5 months in advance. And they sell out really, really quickly. So make sure to set your calendar reminders and definitely keep your eyes on the release dates. So as soon as they become available, book them right away. And if you are planning a trip to Italy and don't want to spend months trying to plan, organize, and book every element of the trip, this is exactly what we do every single day at Fabulous Vita. We design bespoke journeys across Italy, managing every element of the trip, from handpicked accommodations and private transportation to curated tours, unique experiences, restaurant reservations, and full-on trip concierge. So your journey unfolds exactly as it should. Seamless, beautifully paced, and truly unforgettable from the moment you arrive. And of course, I will make sure to leave you the link to the concierge service of my Fabulous Vita travel agency, as well as stories and experiences from the travelers who've already explored Italy, Greece, and France with us in the description down below. And I want to wrap up this podcast episode with one bonus tip. And the reason why I decided to share this extra tip or extra mistake is because this is one of the things that US travelers stress about the most once they're in Italy. And as a matter of fact, they start stressing out about it way before they even arrive here. Many travelers arrive in Rome thinking they need to calculate tips exactly the same way they do in the US. At restaurants, in private transportation, taxis, tours, basically everywhere they go. When we send the final detailed itinerary to our clients prior to their trip, we always include the entire section dedicated to useful information about Italy. Things like what kind of converter to bring, how much cash you might need, important documents, tip and etiquette, and of course, many other things. And still, from time to time, we would get a message from a client who is literally in their private transfer from the airport to the accommodation asking us, is it okay if I tip that much? One important thing I really want you to take away is this. For now, tipping in Italy is appreciated, but it is not mandatory or expected in the same way it is in the US. In most situations, a small gesture is more than enough if you genuinely enjoyed the service. But the reason why I'm saying for now is because I slowly start to see that the tipping culture, even in Italy, is starting to change as more and more travelers from the US arrive here. I see that firsthand. Just yesterday, Pierre and I went to a beautiful restaurant inside a hotel that is famous for its Genoese porcelain and beautiful table settings. And at the end of the night, they brought us a bill that already included a tip. They called it a discretionary service appreciation. And honestly, this is not the first time I've seen this happen, especially with the restaurants inside the hotels. And when I saw this bill, I even filmed it for you because I thought that this is such a perfect example of how slowly tipping culture is evolving in Italy as well. Now, if you're still confused about tipping in Italy, how much to tip, when to tip, what's appropriate and what's not, the next episode I recommend for you to watch is Tipping in Italy. The truth tourists need to know. I'll see you there. And if you're just as passionate as I am about exploring this incredible world, don't just listen, join me. Make sure to smack that subscribe button, whether you're listening on YouTube, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Let's explore this beautiful world together, one unforgettable story at a time. This is Anastasia signing off from Rome. I'm so looking forward to talk to you in my next episode. Until then, and always, stay fabulous.